I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this is another Higher Things video short. St. Matthias, that's the subject of the day's Higher Things video short. Also read St. Matthias, sort of forgotten apostle. Some don't even think he was an apostle. You'll find churches with 12 apostles, you'll rattle them off, and there'll be no Matthias. There might be Paul there. I've seen churches that way. But right there in Acts chapter 1 is the calling of St. Matthias. There in Acts 1, the place of Judas Iscariot, who betrayed the Lord, is filled. There's a call meeting, and there's prayer, and lots are drawn, and Matthias, his lot is drawn, and to him is given the lot of Judas. And he takes over as one of the 12. And you see him in Acts chapter 2 standing there with the other apostles. They're the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 apostles standing there on Pentecost. Now, what do we know about a Matthias? Well, nothing. We know absolutely nothing, except that he was one of the 12. He preached the gospel and he administered the sacraments. We have some whispers of him possibly taking the gospel to Ethiopia. Some words that he was stoned by the Jews. But really, nothing very difficult. In fact, one of the church historians identified Matthias as Zacchaeus. So he's not even given his sort of given name in church history. That sort of short isn't really fair for Matthias. See what it did there? Zacchaeus was a wee little man. Matthias. Anyway, what we know about Matthias is that he preached the gospel and that he did what apostles do. He was sent. The same with your pastor. Your pastor, whose name may never be known by anyone but by your congregation, is there to preach the gospel and to administer the sacraments. He's there to baptize and to teach, to forgive sins in the stead and by the command of Jesus, to visit the sick, to confirm children, to be at your bedside, the bedside of your loved ones when they fall asleep. And he might never be known by anyone but by your congregation. But that doesn't matter, because he's known by the Lord. And his work isn't his work, but the Lord's work through him. That's what your pastor does, and that's what we learned about St. Matthias. You don't have to be super duper famous to be a good pastor. A pastor is one who has been called to preach, called to teach, called to administer the sacraments, and called to baptize. That's what Matthias did, faithfully. And that's what your pastor does in your particular place at this particular time. I'm Pastor George Borghardt. A blessed Matthias Day to you. And this has been another Higher Things video short.